The stars looked dim from Earth now. Once the night sky was alive with movement, ships flashing through orbit, satellites trading data with distant colonies, alien vessels gliding into Earth's ports. Now it was still, silent, empty. Captain Kale Draven stood alone on the balcony of his apartment in New Berlin, high above the quiet city. The skyline shimmered with lights, but there was no life in the skies. Earth had closed itself off from the galaxy 5 years ago. No one came in. No one went out. He leaned on the railing, eyes fixed on the stars. He used to travel between them. He used to walk among alien leaders and speak in council meetings filled with voices from across the Milky Way. But that was before. Before Earth left the Galactic Council. Before fear replaced trust. Before silence became the law. Now, Earth was a fortress. The government called it the Great Withdrawal. A necessary act, they said, to protect Earth from alien conflicts, from dangerous technologies, from outside influence. The people had cheered when the council gates closed. No more alien problems. No more dependence, only control. Kale never agreed with it. As a council envoy, he had spent most of his life off-world, building peace, solving disputes, connecting species. He had seen war and peace. He had seen what unity could do. Now he was just a civilian, grounded, watched, forgotten. Inside his apartment, everything was neat. Clean walls, a few plants, and a display case holding objects from other worlds. A feather made of crystal from Zernus, a glowing cube from the moon markets of Yalvin, and a metal coin given to him by Valari, his closest friend from the planet Tarnok. He hadn't heard from her in years. Then it happened. His wrist comm vibrated sharply. A red pulse blinked on the screen. Unauthorized transmission. Kale's heart jumped. He hadn't seen that kind of signal in a long time. The code was encrypted. Old Council encryption. He sat down quickly, fingers working fast to unlock it. As the signal opened, a voice played through, soft, strained, and familiar. Kale, it's Valari. Tarnok is in danger. Civil war is spreading. The Council is breaking apart. Without Earth, they can't hold it together. Please, we need you. The message ended. Silence again. Kale stared at the screen. Tarnok, a peaceful advanced world, home to billions on the edge of collapse. He played the message again, this time slower. Valari sounded afraid. He had never heard her afraid before. He leaned back, closing his eyes. It wasn't just Tarnok. If the Council was falling apart, then dozens of planets could be at risk. Wars could spread. Systems could fail. Lives could be lost by the billions. Earth had abandoned them all, and now they were calling him back. Kale stood and walked to his storage unit. He pressed his hand against the scanner, and the door opened with a soft hiss. Inside was his old diplomatic uniform, neatly folded. He picked it up, brushing off dust. The badge on the chest still shone faintly. Captain Kale Draven, Galactic Council Envoy. He looked at his reflection in the mirror. Same eyes, same man. But something inside him had gone quiet these past few years. Now it was waking up again. He sat back down, opened the comm, and began recording. Valari, I hear you. I'm coming. He hit send. Outside his apartment, Earth's defense satellites continued their endless scans. The government believed everything was under control, but something had changed. The stars were calling again. Kale didn't sleep that night. The moment he sent the message to Valari, he knew he had crossed a line. Earth's security systems were powerful. All signals, even encrypted ones, were watched and traced. It was only a matter of time before they found out. He had to leave, but escaping Earth wasn't easy. Since the withdrawal, all spaceports were under military control. Only government-authorized ships could launch. Civilian flight was banned. Kale needed help, someone who could get him off-planet without raising alarms. He opened a secure contact on his wrist comm. One only he remembered. A small icon blinked. The line connected. Didn't think I'd ever hear from you again. A voice said. rough and casual. Kale smiled slightly. Hello, Talon. Talon Vex was a smuggler, sharp, fast, and always 2 steps ahead of the law. Kale had saved his life years ago during a council raid. Talon owed him. I need a ship, Kale said. Off-world, quiet. There was a long pause. You know what that means, right? Earth's not the same. They shoot people for less. I know. Talon sighed. Meet me in Dock 7. Midnight. Bring nothing you can't carry. That night, Kale dressed in simple clothes. No uniform, no badge, just a jacket, boots, and a small shoulder bag. Inside it, only what mattered. His comm, a translator chip, and Valari's coin. New Berlin's streets were quiet. Cameras watched every corner. Drones hovered overhead. Kale walked calmly, his heart pounding beneath the surface. He reached Dock 7, hidden beneath an old transport terminal. It had been shut down after the withdrawal. Only shadows and rust remained. Talon waited near a camo-covered ship, small, fast, built for stealth. The paint was dull, the hull scratched, but Kale knew it was reliable. You're lucky I still have this beauty, Talon said. She's got a ghost core. Doesn't show up on radar for 3 minutes after jump. Kale stepped inside. The cockpit was cramped but clean. He settled into the co-pilot seat. You're sure about this? Talon asked. No, Kale replied. But I'm going anyway. As the ship powered up, the old terminal lit red. Unauthorized energy detected. Move, Kale shouted. Talon yanked the controls, and the ship roared to life. Steel doors split open above them as they blasted into the sky. The city shrank below, alarms blaring across the grid. Within seconds, Earth's defense systems activated. 2 drones locked onto their trail. Defense swarm incoming, Talon muttered. Hang on. Kale turned and fired the rear flares, blinding the drones. The ship veered hard left, skimming the edge of Earth's orbit. A missile streaked past their wing. Just a few more seconds, Talon said. Jump drive warming up. A sharp jolt rocked the cabin as another blast hit nearby. Now, Kale shouted. With a heavy push, Talon slammed the jump switch. Space around them bent and twisted. Light stretched into streams, and then silence. They were gone. Kale stared at the fading stars outside the window. Behind him, Earth vanished into darkness. Talon leaned back, breathing hard. Well, welcome back to the galaxy. Kale didn't reply. He was already thinking of Tarnok, of Valari, of the Council, of everything that could fall if he failed. Kale stood on the observation deck of Talon's ship as they drifted into Tarnok's orbit. Below, the once bright planet looked dim. Its green forests and silver oceans still shimmered, but the skies above were crowded with defense satellites and scattered debris from destroyed ships. Looks like a war zone, Talon said, scanning the controls. This place used to be beautiful. It still is, Kale said softly, but it's bleeding. The ship sent a landing request. For several minutes there was no reply. Then a message crackled through. Unregistered vessel. State your origin and purpose. Kale stepped forward and pressed the comm. This is Captain Kale Draven, former council envoy. I've come by request of Valari of Tarnok. There was silence. Then a different voice responded. Draven, stand by for escort. 2 fighter ships appeared, flanking them closely. Talon tightened his grip on the controls. They don't trust anyone, he muttered. They have reasons not to. They landed at the edge of the capital city, Solara. Even from the docking bay, Kale could see signs of damage. Buildings scorched from recent attacks, patrols in heavy armor, streets nearly empty. The city was tense. Wounded. Valari was waiting for him inside the main terminal. She looked the same, tall and elegant, with her silvery blue skin and glowing eyes. But there was something different in her face now. Worry, wariness. Kale, she said quietly. Valari. They embraced briefly, then walked side by side through the halls. What happened? Kale asked. Valari's voice was calm but heavy. When Earth left, The council lost its balance. Your species held influence, power, respect. Other factions began to fight for that space. Small arguments turned into blockades. Blockades turned into raids. We tried to stay neutral, but now two nearby systems are fighting over a shared star road. We're caught in the middle, already lost 3 cities to orbital strikes. Kale clenched his fists, and the council scattered. We still meet, but there's no leadership, no order. Some worlds have abandoned it. Others blame Earth. Kale felt a cold weight settle in his chest. They entered a large chamber, once a place of diplomacy. Now it held a small group of alien representatives. Tired faces, angry eyes. Hope long gone. Valari raised a hand. This is Kale Draven. He has returned to help. A tall, sharp-eyed alien from the planet Vorska stood. Help? From Earth. Now? His voice was bitter. Where was Earth when the trade lines failed? When our moons were bombed, you turned your back, and now you come to save us. I didn't come to speak for Earth, Kale said calmly. I came because I believe the Council can still survive, but not without unity. Another delegate, a soft-spoken being from Ilinar, leaned forward. Can Earth return? Can your leaders be reached? Kale hesitated. They won't listen to me easily, but I'll try. That night, Kale walked through the damaged city. Fires glowed in the distance. People moved quietly, afraid of more air raids. He passed a memorial wall, names of the dead from the last month alone. Hundreds, thousands. This wasn't just politics. This was real. People were dying because Earth stepped away. He stood in silence, then pulled Valari's coin from his pocket. He gripped it tightly. No more running, no more silence. He would bring Earth back, or he would die trying. Kale rose before dawn. The city of Solara was quiet, but not peaceful. Patrol drones hummed in the air. The sky was thick with cloud cover and the faint glow of damaged orbital platforms. Kale stared up at the sky, thinking of how far things had fallen. Inside the council outpost, Valari and the remaining delegates gathered around a large circular table. Maps and data filled the screens. Conflict zones, dead trade routes, refugee flows. We are on the edge, Valari said. The Zarine system will fall within a week. If that happens, the Eastern Ring will follow. No one will stop it. Not without Earth. Kale stood. Then we bring Earth back. Even if the government doesn't agree, the people must see the truth. The delegates exchanged uneasy glances. You think they'll listen now? The Vorskan delegate asked. They'll have to, Kale replied. But I'll need help. Kale spent the next 2 days traveling across nearby systems. He visited old allies, diplomats, warriors, leaders from planets still loyal to peace. Some welcomed him. Others were cold. But one by one, he persuaded them. Not with promises, not with power, with truth. He showed them videos from Tarnak, the burned cities, the mass graves, the broken council chambers, and he showed them hope, a proposal to meet in secret, on neutral ground, to sign a new peace compact. Something real. Earth may not return yet, he said to each of them, but we can make the first move. Together. By the end of the 3rd day, Kale had support from 5 major systems, enough to make a statement. Back on Tarnak, Kale contacted Earth. It was a secure message, routed through dozens of old council relay beacons. Still, he knew the Isolation Authority would see it. That was the point. He stood in front of the camera, wearing his old envoy uniform. To the Earth Command Council. This is Captain Kale Draven. I have returned to the stars. I have seen what our absence has done. The Council is falling, but there is still time to stop it. I am calling for a summit. One meeting, one chance to build peace. If Earth does not show up, then the galaxy will move on without us. He paused, staring directly into the camera. You can arrest me. You can silence me. But you cannot ignore the truth. We were meant to lead, not hide. He ended the message and sent it out. Talon walked in moments later, holding a datapad. Earth saw it, he said. And they responded. Kale raised an eyebrow. What did they say? Talon frowned. They didn't. They sent a fleet. The sky above Tarnoch lit up the next day. Earth's warships broke through orbit, fast and heavy. 10 vessels, all fully armed. They didn't fire. They didn't land. They just hovered in low orbit. A warning, and at the front of the formation was a sleek black ship bearing the crest of Earth's Isolation Authority. Kale knew the design. It was Director Lucan Carroll's personal flagship. They're not here to talk, Talon muttered. Kale stood still, jaw clenched. No, they're here for me. Valari met him on the landing platform. What will you do? She asked. Kale looked up at the ships. I called for peace. I still believe in it. And if they attack, then I'll stand in their way. He turned and walked toward the communications center. There was only one way to end this. He would face Lucan Carroll himself. Tarnoch's skies were dark now. Not with clouds, but with warships. 10 Earth vessels held position above the capital city, silent but threatening. Their presence sent a loud message. This was no negotiation. It was control. Kale stood on the main tower platform, wind tugging at his coat. Around him, council guards stood tense, weapons ready but useless against a fleet like Earth's. A low hum filled the air as Director Lucan Carroll's flagship descended slowly, breaking through the clouds like a blade. Valari appeared beside Kale. They won't fire first, she said. But they're daring us to make a mistake. They're here to take me, Kale said. And make an example of me, then don't go. I have to. The shuttle touched down with a sharp hiss. 4 armored Earth officers stepped out, forming a line. Behind them walked Director Lucan Carroll, tall and calm in a dark blue uniform lined with gold. His face was as sharp as Kale remembered, calculated, cold. Kale stepped forward alone. Carroll, he said. Captain Draven, Lucan replied. Or should I say Traitor Draven? I called for peace. That's not treason. Lucan's eyes narrowed. You defied a global directive. You shared data with alien powers. You incited unauthorized diplomacy. Earth's security has no place for rebels. Kale stood tall. Is Earth secure now? While the galaxy burns, while we hide behind walls and let millions die? Lucan didn't flinch. We protect our own. That is our duty. And what about our responsibility? Our leadership? Earth was the pillar of the council. Without us it collapsed. Lucan's voice turned cold. That's not our concern anymore. Kale took a step closer. It should be. He reached into his coat and pulled out a small data sphere. It lit up in his hand, projecting an image into the air. Cities destroyed. Refugee camps overflowing. Council chambers in ruins. Real-time footage from across the galaxy. Delegates began to gather. Tarnoch citizens stopped to watch. I didn't come to fight, Kale said. I came to remind you. This is what happens when we turn our backs. You can take me, but you can't erase the truth. Lucan looked at the crowd. His grip on control was slipping. The delegates stood behind Kale now. Valari stepped forward and raised her voice. Director Carroll, she said. We invited Captain Draven. He came in peace. And he did something you did not. He listened. He cared. He acted. Lucan's officers looked uncertain. Some lowered their weapons. Kale stared into Lucan's eyes. End this, Kale said quietly. Come to the summit. Let Earth speak. Let peace begin. Lucan paused. For a long moment, no one moved. Then Lucan turned to his officers. Stand down. The tension in the air broke instantly. The crowd exhaled. The guards relaxed. Lucan faced Kale again. His voice was low and firm. You're making a mistake, Draven. The galaxy doesn't change through speeches. No, Kale said. It changes through choices. Later that night, Kale stood once again at the edge of the platform, watching as Earth's ships pulled back into orbit. A single message from Earth's government had arrived during the standoff. Summit approved. Representatives en route. You will speak on behalf of the Outer Contact Office. Kale let out a long breath. He had done it. Earth was coming back to the table. It wasn't over yet, but it had begun. The summit was held aboard Station Virelia, a neutral orbital base floating between systems. It had once served as a council outpost, then a refugee shelter, and now, perhaps, a place for hope. Kale stood at the center of the main chamber. It was large and round, surrounded by tall windows that showed stars shining beyond. Delegates from 17 different planets had arrived. Their faces showed weariness, caution, but also curiosity. Earth's representatives arrived last. Not soldiers, not drones. Diplomats. They wore the old Earth insignia, the one used during the Council era. Among them stood Director Lucan Krell, no longer in command, now part of the delegation, but watching closely. Kale stepped forward to speak. The room fell quiet. "I stand here not as a hero," he said, his voice steady, but as someone who finally understood what silence costs. He paused and looked around the room. When Earth left the Council, we thought we were protecting ourselves. We believed we could stand alone. But while we closed our gates, others suffered. War spread. Trade died. Trust collapsed. He held up Valari's silver coin. "This was given to me by a friend long ago. It was a symbol of peace, of trust between two worlds. I kept it even when Earth shut its doors. Because deep down I believed we'd return." He turned to the Earth delegation. "Now is that chance. Not just for Earth to come back, but for all of us to rebuild something better. A council that listens, that acts, that leads together." For a moment, there was silence. Then Valari stood. "Tarnock supports this. We will stand beside Earth, if Earth stands with us." One by one the other delegates rose. Ilinar, Vorska, Delis, even distant worlds Kale hadn't heard from in years. A wave of agreement moved through the room. Lucan didn't stand, but he gave Kale a small nod, barely visible, but enough. In the following days, new treaties were signed. Supply lines reopened. Armies stepped back. Refugees were relocated. Council beacons that had gone dark lit up once more, sending out a simple message: we are rebuilding, together. Kale didn't return to Earth right away. He stayed on Virelia, helping organize relief missions and peace talks. People needed more than words. They needed action. He gave them both. One evening, Kale stood alone, looking out through the station's wide windows. The stars shone brighter now. Not because the galaxy was healed, but because it had chosen not to give up. Valari joined him. "You could go home," she said gently. Kale shook his head. "This is home now. The stars, the work, the people." She smiled. "Then let's keep going." Somewhere far away, another conflict stirred. Another system flickered in silence. There would always be more to do. But now, there was hope. Hope that unity could return. Hope that Earth had not waited too long. Hope that the Council, reborn from ashes, could still stand strong.